Hello.
Hey guys, I am Tricia.
And I'm Julie.
And this is the
And She Laughs podcast.
We're in a new spot. We're at Julie's house.
My casa.
Just so exciting.
Yes.
So we don't know how the sound sounds, and but we know that we love you.
Right. We hope the sound is wonderful.
We do. And if it's not, I don't know, grab some coffee and sip on it, and because I can't fix it. So last week we dove into our personal love stories.
Yes.
And so after we recorded, I actually we'll get into it when we get into the episode. I just jumped in.
Oh, she's ready to go.
There's an intro to this. Gosh, we're a little
in the
little
famous
rusty.
words of Tina Turner. What's love got to do with it?
Let's go. Her tea.
I am.
So
this is wonderful.
And I have iced coffee. I'm a huge coffee drinker.
I'm
Julie
a huge hot tea drinker.
I enjoy hot tea when I'm sick.
I'm sick all the time. No. Sick and tired. No, I really love hot tea.
They don't have a tea for what I need. So.
Dude, my mom found this sign. Did you see that sign that Mom found yesterday?
No.
Oh my gosh, Mom went thrifting yesterday and she found this adorable sign that said, "All that you require of me is more than my medications cover." And I was like, I
relatable.
Need that in my life.
I hope she bought it. So last week we dove into our personal love stories.
Yes.
And
that was fun. We had a lot of you guys reach back out to us and you were like, "Oh my Lord, I got to watch pieces of this, but I didn't know all of it." Yeah. And it was so cool. So a lot of people from our friends from Birmingham reached out to us. So that was really great. So, we love you, Stricklands, all of you.
We do.
We love you, Strickland family, all you women.
And Brittany. Mm-hmm. The other Brittany, not the Brittany Strickland, but we do love Brittany Strickland. But
Yes.
So anyway, we what's funny is that who you are when you're dating is definitely me, 38-year-old Tricia. I still so relate to 19 and 20 and 21-year-old Tricia. Okay?
Absolutely. It's because our brain really doesn't age. You know what I mean? You stay the same person.
It's foggy.
It gets foggy. Hopefully we develop some wisdom and some maturity in there. But truly, for the most part, I feel like 19-year-old Julie.
Yes, when I'm like, I've been married 17 years. I'm like,
wow.
What? I'm not 17.
I'm only 17. How have I been married for 17 years?
Is the weirdest thing.
It really is.
But one of the cool things is how I feel like Danny and I have grown together. There are things about us that just absolutely haven't changed because it's who we are.
Yes.
And so I have mentioned a few times on the podcast that I like to keep Danny in what I call the sweet spot. And the sweet spot is that he is not sure if he is highly annoyed and agitated with me or if he is highly attracted to me. It's this perfect little, and I've definitely gotten it wrong and I've thought that I was hitting attraction and I was really digging a hole. You know what I'm saying? You probably don't because this is a unique thing. But Danny and I are weird. And so we've talked before about love languages. And
what's yours?
Mine is quality time and words of affirmation. I am such a words girl.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me I'm pretty and I'll plant you a garden. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And Danny is not a words person. And so literally I'll be like, babe, you can get a standing ovation at the end of a 3-minute host spot, you look good doesn't cut it. Like, fine, frilly words. Come on. Like, what is wrong with you?
If you struggle, ask ChatGPT, for crying out loud.
I'm literally like,
let's do this.
What the heck? Anyway, so it's an ongoing conversation because my top is words of affirmation and his lowest is words of affirmation. He actually finds words of affirmation a little distasteful, which is, so unfortunate. But his top is acts of service and gifts, and they actually do kind of are interchangeable because he sees a gift as an act of service and he sees an act of service as a gift. So, well, those are my bottom. I Google those.
They're my bottom.
I'm like,
where acts of service is mine, but gifts are bottom.
Yeah. So I struggle with this, and I am literally just coming into in the past year, I would say I've kind of like nailed
the
gifts.
Yeah.
Well, my husband has on a bucket list, that he wants to see Hans Zimmer in concert. Hans is from Austria. He is a composer. He has done like Pirates of the Caribbean, James Bond, Lion King, The Dark Knight, like Gladiator. He is absolutely epic. Dune. You know what, like,
yes, epic.
And he does epic music, and he travels with a full like orchestra. And it's incredible. Danny,
what a job, right?
Right. So Danny listens to Hans a lot while he's studying, writing messages, writing a class, whatever. And he has always wanted to see Hans. Well, in November, Hans Zimmer announced 4 U.S. cities that he was going to come to. He has not been to the U.S. since 2018. And so I immediately went online, and, if you're a famous Austrian composer, why wouldn't you charge arms and legs for your tickets?
Yeah, firstborn children.
But, which I would have offered right now this morning, but maybe not tomorrow morning, but today you might have got him. So I had spoken at a women's retreat in October. I never told Danny that I got an honorarium.
So you bought them tickets.
So I blew the honorarium on Hans Zimmer tickets. Now, the deception that I'm about to lead you through was a little bit of an accident because Jude and I had gone to buy wrapping paper. He wanted to help pick it out. We picked out wrapping paper that said fa la 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 on it. And it sounds like you're getting filled with the Spirit when you're just like reading wrapping paper. And I get home, and underneath the tree is a pretty big box that's wrapped. And Jude goes, "What is this?" And Danny says, "That's your mommy's present." And I was like, oh. And Jude goes, "Where's Daddy's present?"
Oh.
Well, I faltered because I had not yet decided how I was going to wrap tickets.
Said amazing.
You know
gift.
What I'm saying?
Yes.
Amazing it. Well, I have created a reputation in my marriage for not knowing what to do with a gift. Okay.
Me too.
And so as I falter, Danny goes, "Wow, you have no idea what you're doing for me for Christmas." And this brilliance hit me that I was going to play the long game. I decided in a second. So I literally was like, I didn't say that. I didn't say I don't have a gift. I didn't say that. I have ideas. And as a gifts person, he goes, "Tricia, I have a note on my phone that has things that I like want, and you've never even like asked for access to it." And I was like, "Ooh, well, can I have access to the note?" So I'm creating more frustration.
I feel like he stepped in that, quite honestly.
So, as it turns out, I play this game for a while, for 6 weeks.
It was so long.
For 6 weeks, she
would call me giggling.
Danny said this today. Let me tell you, I've got these tickets.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
It really was.
But the other thing, gifts and acts of service people, the one thing that you can do to like really annoy them is give them a gift that requires like a chore. And several a few months ago, our mailbox got hit by a baseball bat because we lived down a county road where people race their trucks. And so I literally had been like, hey, babe, does that mailbox ever like annoy you? And he was like, yes, the door to our mailbox doesn't stay on the mailbox. So
Tricia goes, bing, bing.
I'm
going to wrap them tickets.
I wrapped a mailbox and he opened it and he was like, wow, you got me a mailbox. And I was like, yeah, we went practical this year. Anyway, I'm saying all this to say, one, when he found out I had the tickets, I definitely like flipped that switch from like super annoyed, aggravated to he was like, wow. And he was like, you have played this well. Like there was a respect.
Yes.
But I say all of that for a few reasons. As far as like creating our little like outline for today. The first one would be that love languages have very much defined how we love each other.
Right.
We are very big on not demanding that the other person meets our love language.
Right.
That is an offering that should happen. I should be learning how to get better gifts and serving Danny. Last night I didn't leave collective or our youth thing till pretty late. And as I was getting off, Danny and I had to switch cars because he had the kids. And as I'm getting off the interstate, I realized that there's only a quarter tank of gas in his car. He hates for it to get below a quarter tank.
Yeah.
So I was bringing Isla home and I said, Isla, I need to put gas in the car. Uncle Danny has been stressed. And anyway, filled up his car with gas. It meant the world to him.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, because I considered him and I thought of him. But he also has had to learn how to naturally accept words of affirmation as love. Even though it's the lowest on his scale, he has learned to accept the way that I naturally offer love.
Right.
And that's one of the ways that we meet each other. It's not, and that way it's an offering and not a demand. There is an apology book that matches the love languages.
Yeah, we've talked about this
that
before.
rocked our world.
Yeah, apology languages.
But the main thing that I really wanted to say from all this is that there are people who are listening to me right now, and you're going, I would never do that to my husband.
Which part?
and honestly, you probably shouldn't, because it's possible that I would break your husband or that you would break my husband. Like I was supernaturally created for this man who was raised by an immigrant in North Dakota.
Right.
And my marriage nugget that I wanted to throw out for the day, in understanding that I was uniquely made for Danny, I understand that I didn't marry like one of the bros. Okay. My husband is not going to campfire with people. He's not gonna, I don't know. He's just, I hope that it's translating what I'm saying, but like, he's just not one of the bros.
He doesn't like sight in his gun and hang out and shoot stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
No, he won't even let me have a gun, but that's another subject for another day because I get really testy about it.
He did give you that lovely taser.
He did, and it got stolen, and he set up like armed bad guys, whatever. So I was talking one time to a person who I love, a friend, and I was telling a story about Danny. And the story came up about Danny because she had actually been complaining about a fight that she and her husband had. And she was telling, like, when they get mad, they use some pretty strong language. You know what I'm saying? And anyway, I'm listening to her, and I'm listening to their fight. Well, Danny and I had a tense moment that week, and it was because my car had broken down while Danny was driving it. And so he was stuck on the side of the road. And he had called me and said, will you please send me our AAA information? I had sent it. The text was not going through because I was out here and we didn't have internet. Right. This was actually, I say out here, but that's because my job was out here. We had not built the houses out here. but the text never went through, and I had gotten to talking to a coworker, and I get a text from Danny that says, maybe you didn't understand, but I'm on the side of the road. And I was like, oh, shoot. Anyway, I'm telling this story. And when Danny said, maybe you didn't understand, I'm on the side of the road. She was literally brushing her hair. We were on worship team together. She was brushing her hair, and she kind of stops, and she looked at me and she went, I would never let my husband speak to me like that.
Oh, my
And I was like,
because you're fragile.
Like what?
That's so mean.
Like,
hey, friends, I'm sorry I said that. I take it back.
It's fine.
Mostly take it back.
Listen. And I was like,
now, any of you that are listening and you're like, I'd never let my husband talk to me like that.
Well, so that's my point. But that's it. That is the point. I was like, well, I would never let my husband use foul language towards me. But I didn't correct you and your marriage. I was created for Dan. So I don't want you to create offense towards my husband. Like,
right.
And I say this to say, there are intricate parts of your marriage that not everybody would probably understand, because you were created for each other.
Yes.
And if you surround yourself with the wrong people, and that even Julie and I, we know each other. We have been besties for 38 and a half years. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
We know everything.
Except for that little stint in middle school when I was an idiot. You know what I'm saying?
But I still followed her around like a puppy, so it's fine. But I know her, and even when she has called me to like vent about Ben, I try not, she doesn't do that, Ben. If Ben is listening. Because
you know he's listening. He listens to everyone.
But I try really hard. I don't like, girl.
No.
Ew. No. Like, I literally.
We've almost adopted the phrase, I'll go, do you want me to just listen?
Yes. Do you want me to listen?
You want me to listen?
Or are you
do you want some advice? Do you want some perspective? We ask each other those questions.
What do you want? What do you need?
Yeah.
But also, I don't just love Julie. I love Ben.
Right.
Ben is my brother, and he has been my brother since 6th grade.
Right.
Except for that like month that we were boyfriend, girlfriend, where we held pinkies in 6th grade. You know what I'm saying? No. I love Ben.
Yeah.
And I don't want to create separation between Julie and Ben because I believe in them.
Right.
When you believe in your people's marriages, you speak differently into it. Right. You're not like, I would never let my husband speak to me like that. Now, are there people who are listening that your husband doesn't speak to you well and you need to have some self-confidence like boosted into you?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. But what's the purpose? Is the purpose of the conversation separation or unity? And so I have said to Julie, I am so glad that Danny does not hunt and fish. Because Ben goes on hunt fish trips and I think that I would break. But Julie is like, no, he loves that and he needs that.
And some days I'm like, get out of the house.
Yeah.
Leave.
And so Julie was created for Ben.
Right.
And if I, who was not created for Ben, start speaking to, like, Julie, he left you alone for 3 days? Are you kidding? What? Like, I could create issue that's not even there. Yeah. And so I say all of this to say, like, who is the person that you go to? Because we're all flawed.
Right.
You're going to have mornings where you need to vent. The people that you go to, do they believe in your marriage?
Right.
Specifically, do they love your husband and you?
And there are times, like, I feel like sometimes when you're having a vent sesh to a girlfriend, they don't see the whole picture. Like, there are times whenever Tricia says stuff to Danny, and I'm looking at him like, bro, you ain't gonna knock her across the room for saying that to you? And he'll go, And I'm like, okay. He loves her.
Tricia's spicy.
And he balances her so beautifully. Like, he balances who she is. And we recognize that the person that God made for you, it's not just a puzzle piece. They don't complete you, but they challenge you to make you better. And then you push forward and forge into this space of like, who can we be? Yeah. Who can we be together? There is no completion.
Right.
There is no completion, but they were made to forge this journey with you.
Yeah.
And it is freaking hard.
Yeah.
Yesterday, in similarity, Ben and I were having a conversation. He loves undivided attention.
So does Evelyn.
You just compared him to a 6-month-old.
That's where I'm at, Julie.
I'm loading the kids up. He had a very tense meeting yesterday, and he's explaining it to me. I get into the car. Of course, my car connects my phone to the Bluetooth, and I'm like, stop it! And I was like, hey, can you go back to this part, and you can say that again? Then I realize my phone's going dead, and I'm plugging in my charger, and my phone is not completely stuck to my ears so I can hear what he's saying, but I don't want the kids to hear what he's saying. And he goes, hey, do you need to call me back?
Dang.
And I said, nope, I just need a tiny bit of grace.
You need 30 seconds.
And he said, did you say I'm being aggressive? And I said, no. I said, I need a tiny bit of grace. And he goes, well, I feel like repeating myself 3 times is giving you grace. And I went, well, now you're being aggressive. And he goes, I'm just saying, I repeated myself. I was like, please, could you start again? Could you just start again? I'm here now. I'm taking care of your children. They're alive. I planned out their day. I fed them. Yeah, you don't have to worry about anything. I'm just getting into the car. Please start again. Please give me grace and start again.
I'm laughing because this is so familiar. I feel so seen.
You know what I mean? And a lot of times we let those little things, those little foxes spoil the whole vineyard. The whole thing for us. Because those things get so big, and instead of going, hey, we're making this more than it is.
Yeah.
Let's just rewind. Something that I notice in our marriage is we have the rule of 3. And this was something a friend of mine who was going through marriage therapy, and I say marriage therapy, it's more than marriage counseling. It's actual like therapy, and there's all this stuff, exercises and things that you do in book work and all of this. And they were going through pretty extensive marriage therapy. And she told me about this rule of 3, and it's something we put into place, and it's really beautiful. But I notice when we don't do this, we have a lot more of the foxes. Okay. So every 3 days we connect, either emotionally or physically, intimately. There has to be a connection between us at least every 3 days. If we don't do that, we get off. Ben and I right now in the season that we're in, we have to connect every day. We have to be talking every day or physically connecting.
I need to reset with you.
I need to know where you are emotionally and mentally. It's almost like, I know this is a crazy analogy, but like almost like you're in a game of egg toss. You know what I mean?
Okay, yes.
And you are tossing a very delicate egg, and you got to know that your person that's catching that egg or throwing that egg is locked into you, you know? And so we're tossing an egg right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
you can't be watching them birds.
No, you can't. You can't be listening to the person next to you.
Because you dropped my egg.
And
it's gonna get messy.
It's gonna get messy. So we make sure that we are talking a lot. We're talking a lot. Then every 3 weeks we do a date that's at least 3 to 4 hours where we separate ourselves from the kids and we put our phones away, and we tell whoever's caring for the kids, we are not going to be reachable except if it's an emergency. Then every 3 months we do an overnight with each other. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy, I'd say it could be camping, but no, it can't be
That's
too much
how
work.
I travel.
That's too much work.
I love that for you, listener. If you love to camp, I love a hotel.
Right. So every 3 months, we try to do an overnight or an extended day together.
Yes.
So, and we went to New Orleans for the day, and we did that. Rode the ferry over to Algiers Point.
Raining.
It was raining.
But y'all's pictures.
It was amazing.
There was so much joy. They had on
ponchos,
and they were so happy.
It was amazing. So we took the ferry over to Algiers Point, ate at a taco place, came back. We did this tour through a museum, and then we ate this really nice dinner. It was really, really great. So we try to do that. So and that's even, you could fit that in the hours that the kids are at school. Like you can drop them off at school and leave immediately, do something together for the day, and come back and pick the kids up. Making that happen is important. Mm-hmm. And then every 3 years we do a vacation, just us. Yeah. So the rule of 3 is really important. I feel like the every 3 days thing is very important. Something that somebody told me, I guess whenever we were first getting married, this is what it was. When we were first getting married, somebody gifted us with 3 marriage counseling sessions before we ever got married. Mm-hmm. It was a really beautiful gift. Love you, Elaine Mitchell. Thank you for that. But she gifted us with 3 marriage counseling sessions. And the counselor that was talking to us said, marriage is like a garden. You cannot save the weeds for the weekend, or it'll overtake the garden. You cannot water it on the weekend. You cannot give it sun on the weekend. Nothing will grow. But if you water it and you care for it, you tend to the weeds, you put a fence up, it will sustain you in famine.
Wow. And
so we have to know that our marriage is like a garden. It feeds us. It gives to us. We have to give to it.
I love that. That's a lot to chew on. Mm-hmm. Your marriage is like a garden because, I think it's the same with marriage. When you think of gardening, it's like, oh yeah, if you get out there, it only takes like 5 minutes to, if you're tending the garden,
right, on a regular basis,
you can weed it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, if you put a fence up, care of it, you don't let the predators come in and take what fruit. But
with most of us, especially in our Western American culture, the idea of consistency is awesome. The discipline of consistency
doesn't exist.
So lacking. And so I love the idea of having a garden, but covering it up when the snow is coming,
right.
That doesn't.
People would rather go to the farmer's market.
You'd rather, not even go to the farmer's market. You'd rather just do a grocery order online and be like, hey,
I'll eat red dye 40 for the entire week.
I hate that this broccoli is covered in listeria. But maybe I'll boil mine and it'll be fine.
I don't know what listeria is, but that sounds disgusting.
It's not good, but it's in everything right now. It's so concerning. It's in the carrots, it's in the broccoli, it's in the onions.
It's really crazy.
It's in everything. Yeah. Which is another reason why gardening is so attractive, but I don't have the discipline to do it. But that truly, everybody wants a healthy marriage in theory.
Right.
But the discipline,
yes,
when your car phone's connecting because those high stress conversations,
right,
they never come easy.
Right.
A child is always crying.
Right.
You feel unseen because you're like, I also have stress that I would like to offer to this conversation. They never come at a moment that's like movie score,
no,
hey, I need to talk to you about my stress,
also waiting until you are not heightened is not always an option either. I'm going to push pause on this and then I'm going to talk to you in a calm, cool, collected tone. For sure. But I do want to tell you something the Lord is really convicting me of. Is reacting in anger. It's sin.
Yeah.
And so the other day, Lily was upset because the remote was not doing what she wanted it to do.
Relatable.
Probably user error, but
also relatable.
And she threw the remote down really hard, and it's an expensive remote. And so I was making my way over to spank her little bottom. And she goes, "What? I was angry." And I realized in that moment, I was coming to spank her because I was angry.
Right. I'm reacting to a reaction.
And I froze in my tracks.
Yeah.
And I sat down and I went, "Lily, we don't do that just because we're angry. We can't hurt things just because we're angry.
Yeah.
You don't get to watch TV the rest of the day," which is really a punishment for me. But it was important. You know what I mean?
So I have had a very similar revelation. It's because I've been talking about my dad, our dad, a lot. I had a very unexpected. It was last Friday. I had a very unexpected dad moment where I was thinking about,
y'all, you just never know when
grief is going to hit.
Grief demands to be felt, and you have to ride the wave when it comes. You can't swallow it. You just have to feel it.
Yeah.
Feel it. And it doesn't matter if it's in the cereal aisle at Walmart.
For sure. It's saying we're about to run out of power.
We don't want to run out of power. You keep talking about your dad.
Yeah. Our dad. But I had just an unexpected, grief hit me hard. And it was because, I was just riding down the road and I had said, I have shared that I did not want to be a mom. And obviously Jude rocked my world, and now Evelyn is rocking my world. But we had a big snow a few weeks ago, and I was doing a Zoom class with City Hope College with my second year students, Penatook, and I saw the snow flurries starting about an hour before what the forecast had said. And Jude was at Mom's house so that I could have a Zoom class. And I text my students and I said, "I'm going to have to push class back 15 minutes because, sorry, not sorry, I'm not missing Jude seeing snow for the first time." Mm-hmm. And I said in this message, I said, "And I love being a mom." Now, I have confessed that Jude is so much fun, even though he's wild. Mm-hmm. I do my best, and y'all have heard me say I want to enjoy my kids more than I endure them. But there was something about this, hey guys, I love being a mom. That I was thinking about all the ways that God knows me and all the ways that God created me that I didn't even know were inside of me. And the thought that created, and I feel emotion, but the thought was, I wish that Dad could have seen me be a mom. And that just led to a grief. I miss him, and it's because he loved being a dad. And that led to, I wish he could see Danny be a dad. And then I was like, you know what? My dad loved sound deep theological teaching so much. I actually really wish that he could see the teacher that Danny has turned into. And Danny taught for 2 hours on Revelation the other week at high school retreat. And I'm just like, I wish my dad could have seen it. And so I'm just grief hits me out of nowhere. So I have been talking about my dad. My dad had a quick temper that he submitted to the Lord. And so Dad was very quick to apologize. Yeah. But my memory of him, I don't remember as much the quick temper. And part of that was I didn't push it as often.
She did not ignite it like I did.
My siblings.
Specifically me.
But I how my dad was with my brothers, firm, but very rarely reactionary.
Yeah, very lovely.
And this whole revelation thought that I do feel is going to speak to some of you because of your vulnerability that you've offered in messages and texts when we've talked about parenting or marriage. I'm looking at my 4-year-old little boy who is everything that Danny and I feared our strong personalities could create.
Right.
And I'm so like angry at him one day, and I'm just like, Jude, all we have to do is brush your teeth and we can get in the car. Like, and I do get a little growly. I get growly when I worship, like when I'm happy. I get growly when I'm angry. But I'm looking at this 4-year-old, and it was absolutely the Holy Spirit that, like, in reflecting of this moment and chewing on it, I really felt like the Holy Spirit was like, that voice that you just used on your 4-year-old, I have watched college-age students cry when I have been strongly correcting for something. And I just turned that on a 4-year-old. Granted, that 4-year-old looked me in the face and was like, no. So ballsy, you know what I'm saying? Like, way stronger, like, and way less scared of me than my college students. But I felt convicted.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to figure out me, and I have to, like, I want to be more like my dad.
Yeah. And I think it's so easy for us to recognize that reactive anger toward our children, because there is this just innate love for them.
Yes.
Our
spouse. We
have to choose to love our spouse.
Yeah. Because so the situation with the phone, I love that example, because there are a lot of listeners, and we have a rule. We don't hang up on people, but we'll sit there listening to each other breathe. But who would just be like, screw this. Boop, click. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you don't allow the space of going, like you did, like, hey, I hear your frustration. I am also frustrated. We really need to reset this conversation.
Can we recognize that we're not frustrated with each other?
Right.
Let's stop taking it out on each other.
I'm frustrated with a phone cord. We need to
have this conversation.
And a car and the
conversation is worth pushing through the frustration.
Yes.
I need to hear what happened in this meeting. Can we push through this?
I want to hear if something hurt you. I want to hear if something angered you. I am your person that God has given you. And I don't want to shut down the avenue of connection that you're actually offering me by venting.
Yeah.
I want to be your safe place.
Yeah, for sure.
So let me take a step back. Yeah. And Danny and I have a lot of examples of this, of like, and my thing, I go, I actually cannot tell if you are frustrated from this meeting or if you are frustrated with me. And you know,
that's real.
And I think that's a valid question in high tension.
It is.
And it does kind of help reset. Because Danny has even said, I was not frustrated with you at the beginning of the phone call, but I feel like I've got half your attention, and I am now also frustrated with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? But when you allow those questions into tense conversations, when you're like, do you want advice or do you want to vent? Or if you allow the question, are you mad at me or are you mad at the situation? Like,
or you say things like, what I'm hearing is this. Is that what you're trying to portray to me?
Because I can take these earrings off. I'm just kidding. Mm-hmm. Kind of kidding. Mostly.
But I think in all of this, we do have to wrap up. In all of this, it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's so very worth it.
Yeah.
Tend the garden, folks.
Tend the garden.
Get on your knees, pull the weeds out.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
So as far as a bow.
Oh, yeah.
Boop. Be careful who's investing in your marriage. Who have you, and I call it this when we are doing premarital counseling, I say, who are you inviting into your marriage?
Yes. Who are you inviting in the room?
Do they love your spouse? Are they conversing with you for the sake of unity?
Right. Do they value marriage?
Do they value marriage?
Is their marriage healthy? Oh, wait, you're talking to somebody who's single and keeps breaking up with people?
I don't know.
We love you.
We do, all of you.
We love you, and we want your marriages to succeed, and we want your relationships to succeed.
Tend the garden. Think about that rule of 3, what that means for you.
Yeah.
And that also becomes a self-revelation and a check. When is the last time that me and my spouse just did an overnight just us? Like, when is the last time
we did a date day
that I put fertilizer in my garden, not just tended it?
Yeah.
When did I do something extra to care for it? You know, so.
And do the work. Do the work.
Do the work.
Plan something beautiful for the two of you. Don't just expect them to come to the table with it.
We actually had somebody recently that was asking for prayer for like tension. And Danny said, he was like, hey, if you feel like things are pretty consistently tense, do something small. Like let your spouse know that you've considered them. And my example was Danny's favorite candy is Australian licorice. I know that sounds really silly. But you can get a bag of it at Dollar Tree for $1.25 because it's not Dollar Tree, it's $1.25 Tree. But
ain't that real?
That is so annoying. Painful. But I can get a bag of that. And I did it this week. He had something that he was presenting and I ran to the store and got lemon Australian licorice and I put it on his car door so that when he got out after this meeting, and he told this person, do something small, incorporate effort, tiny as it may be, into their day. And so for me, it's like, it's a way of tending the garden.
It is.
If you feel stress in your marriage, what are you doing to tend the garden?
It's like an afternoon rain shower.
Aw, I like that.
Thanks, I'm a poet sometimes.
Kill the bugs, water the plants.
Put up a fence.
Kill the weeds. Get some fertilizer.
Yeah.
Go to the beach overnight. Buy lingerie on Shein.
Oh, yes.
It's only $5.
We love you
ain't
guys.
gonna wear it long.